everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today is a beautiful day. We have an overcast day, and as I say that, the sun is coming out right now, but it's been raining since last week, and it's going to keep raining this whole week. So it's perfect time to start transplanting our plants, even though it's not super cool yet, but we are having cooler temperatures at night, and I think that's going to give the plants a break when we transplant them. It's also not getting super high in the 80s or 90s, so I think it's perfect time to transplant your plants. So if you have any plants that you want to transplant, to pick a week where you're going to have some cool weather, or maybe you're going to have some rainy days, and that would be perfect because you're not going to have to stay on top of them and constantly water them. If you do transplant your plants during the heat of the summer, that's going to require a little bit more maintenance. You're going to have to water them probably once or twice a day, and you may have to provide them with some shade if you do choose to transplant them during the heat of the summer. We live in New Hampshire Zone 5B, and recently our zone has been changed to Zone 6A, but I still garden as if we are in Zone 5B because I don't trust that zone changes. Anyways, so right behind me over here we have some phlox, and I have a lot of phlox in this bed, and this has been a temporary holding place for them, and we will be transplanting a lot of them into different areas of the garden. Some of them are going to be staying here, but just shifting in location a little bit. We also have some other plants that we are going to be transplanting. Hopefully we can get to all of them today. I have a boxwood that I want to transplant, and some daylilies and some other stuff. Allowing your plants to grow in your garden if you don't necessarily want them in that location, and then transplanting them to another location that you want them to be in, is a great way to save money on plants and an easy way to fill your garden with beautiful plants that you already have on hand. A great way to identify your plants is to simply place a tag on your plants like I did over here. And you can also identify your plant with its type and variety. Now these phlox have just seeded themselves in here, so I only put this tag over here with a color pink on it because I have a lot of different colors that have seeded themselves in the garden, as you can see over here. So I just gave them different names. This way I know where I'm going to be putting them in case if they are done blooming and I don't know what their color is anymore. So this tag over here is going to help me identify them and decide where to place them. This is especially helpful if you are going to transplant your plants in the early fall when they are completely done blooming. That's going to help you identify them and allow you to know exactly where you are going to place them. Right here I have with me a garden sketch that I created of this flower bed over here. This is going to help me know where I'm going to be moving some of these plants in this bed and help me with placement. Now this is not an exact sketch of this flower bed. It doesn't have exact measurements. This is just a rough sketch just to help guide me in where I'm going to be placing my plants. You can do something like that. It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be exact. This is just to guide you in what plants you want in your flower bed and where you want to have them. You'll probably have to change some things or add some things, and as you are implementing the plan, that's going to give you a little bit of free play in your flower bed, and it's not going to restrict you. Now if you want an exact plan, you have to do exact measurements of your flower bed and scale it down into the measurements that you are using on the paper. This is a grid paper over here. What I did to create this is I basically took a top view picture of this flower bed over here, and I traced it on this paper, and that allowed me to just create this sketch in a very easy and simple way. So you can do something like that. If you have a drone, you can also take a drone footage. That's probably going to help you even more. Or you can go to Google Maps and search your home address in there, and then zoom in on the area where you want to change, and you can print a picture of that, and then do the same thing that I did over here. Trace it, and or you could draw it by hand, whichever. So that always works for me. And here's the picture that I took, and this is the sketch that I created of it. Anyways, so we're going to start first with this phlox over here. I want it all to be the same color. This is why I tagged them. And we're going to move it into this bed over here, and then we'll move on to the other plants that we have to transplant. This is what this phlox will sort of look like. We have an incredible hydrangea right there that's going to grow about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide as well. There's an At Last rose over here, and Gertrude Jekyll's, 4 of them over here in this area. So I want this phlox over here to kind of hide behind the hydrangea, the incredible hydrangea, and I want its bloom stalks to sort of show from behind it. It's shifted a little bit this way, so we're going to be able to see it on this side as well, and we're going to plant something in front of it in the future. But I think it's going to look very beautiful over there, and especially with the Fantasia nectarine right behind it. And there is enough space, I think, to go around the Fantasia nectarine tree and harvest it. Speaking of which, we have some beautiful fruits on this Fantasia nectarine. They haven't fully developed yet, but they're on their way there. And this is its second season over here. I bought it from Fast Growing Trees, and when it came, it was very thin, but it was pretty tall as well, so it wasn't bushy at all. And this season it has bushed out really well, and I'm super happy with it. Look at this bumblebee. One thing you want to keep in mind when you are transplanting something is that even if the ground is moist, it is a good idea to give it some water. So we are going to be giving this phlox some water after transplanting it, even though it has been raining the whole time and for over a week, and it's going to continue to rain, but we do want to make sure that this is going to have its roots settle in the ground, and any air gaps, not air bubbles, will be taken out from the soil. And it's going to also give some water to the roots to kind of have them as if you are soaking them in some water before planting them. So that's a good idea to do that. Also, we are going to cut back this phlox because, as you can see, it's flopping, and we don't want it supporting all these flowers and all this growth on it. We want it to put its energy into the roots. Now, it's going to be really hard for me to cut these flowers back, but I believe that this phlox will flush back with some more blooms, hopefully by the end of the season, maybe in September, if we don't get an early frost. If we get a late frost, like in October, then this phlox is definitely going to put on another flush of blooms. And it's going to be really hard, especially for me, because those bumblebees love this phlox. There are tons of pollinators. There are also some native bees over here, little ones. I don't know if you can see them. But we have to do this. Maybe I'll take some of these phlox and put them inside in a vase or something to enjoy them. So I finished transplanting all the things that I want to transplant today. I wish I was able to do more, but I kind of have to stop right now, and I think we did a lot already anyways, and I feel very accomplished. So let me turn the camera around and show you what we have done. We took all the phlox out of this bed and we transplanted one clump over there. That's the pink phlox, and I've been wanting to do that for a while, but I've been waiting for the weather to kind of cool down a little bit, and today was perfect for that. And it was here in a temporary hold. It kind of looked a little mangy in here. I did not like it, and my plan originally was to put it over there, but I just used it in here so that I can keep it alive and transplant it in the areas where I want it to be. Let me show you also this incredible hydrangea. I bought it as a quart container, and it was tiny. It was like 3 times smaller than what it looks like right now, and it has put on a lot of growth already. It looks really good. And we have this phlox over here next to it. I think that's going to look really beautiful, especially when this fills in right here. It's going to grow about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, and this is going to maybe put on a little more growth, maybe a foot more growth, and they're going to touch each other a little bit. And on this side over here in front of these Spartan junipers, I planted a whole bunch of phlox. You can't see them right now, they're all really tiny, but I kind of went in a sort of not exactly gradient color, but I have this clump over here, kind of like a fuchsia color, and I had a few more of the same color, so I planted it next to it, and then it keeps going that way, and then right there it changes into this light pink color, and then into sort of a magenta color right there with these two. And my original plan for this area was to put spireas all along this area right here after these grow, though, because the spireas might grow a little bit faster than the Spartan junipers, and I don't want to block the light off of the Spartan junipers. And these are kind of small right now. Those are going to put a little more growth next year. They put about 18 inches of growth each year. That's pretty fast for an evergreen, and I think they'll be okay with the phlox in front of them. I also planted these dahlias from seed. I think these are the Minion Rose Dahlia, if I'm correct, and I direct seeded them in here, and they are just about ready to bloom. Look at this. I have some of them over here as well, and this is what their bloom looks like. I think that's very beautiful. And over here in the entryway garden, or entrance garden, I planted a bunch of phlox right there. I call that the baby doll phlox, and I do have to come back and cut these back and give them some water, all of the things that I planted, because you can see they're wilting a little bit. Originally I was thinking of placing it right there, and I thought it was too tall in front of this Russian sage over here. This is the Sage Advice Russian sage, and I think that some Echinacea purpurea in here will look really beautiful. I also planted this euonymus right here that I have rooted. I took a cutting from one of my euonymus in the flower bed under the deck, and I planted it over here. It has a little tiny roots on it. I'm hoping it will be okay, and I do need to give it some water, but I think it's going to look really beautiful over here. I love the variegation on this euonymus, and we're going to add, this is going to add a little bit of that yellow color in here. And we have our red right there from the black lace elderberry, and I'm thinking of adding some sort of a conifer in the back as well to add kind of a blue color, because right there we have the green from this white double blooming lilac, but we just need some blue right here somewhere. And you also saw me plant this boxwood right here. This is a green mountain boxwood. I had it in the flower bed under our deck, but what happens there is we shovel all the snow into that area, and then this boxwood was getting pounded, and the back of this boxwood is pretty beaten up. You can see right here. So I planted it in a way that you can't see that, and hopefully it will fill in and get kind of all of it will look really good. I think it's leaning a little bit, but that's totally fine, because Once it puts on a little more growth, I will be pruning it. Sometimes I prune it twice in one season, once in the spring and once in the early fall, or about right now. But I don't see that it has put on tons of growth, so I may not prune it again this year. It's probably just going to receive one time prune, and these can grow pretty tall if I let it grow that tall. It depends on how I want the look over here to be. So very soon I'm going to be putting down some cardboard in this area so that we can sort of see what this bed is going to look like. Right at this point right now, we really can't mow it anymore. We've been mowing it, but you can see I've planted a lot of stuff in here, and it's going to be really hard to mow this area. I may weed whack it just a little bit so that I can put down the cardboard and not have any grass peeking out through it. I also the other day came and planted this miscanthus grass. I think it's a miscanthus. This is a zebra grass, and it's starting to put on a little more growth. And I was so happy that after I planted it, it's been raining forever. You can see right there, this is what it looks like. Those are the leaves. So I cut it all back, and then I took a few chunks off of it. It was super difficult to do that because the roots on that grass are terrible. They have taken a hold of that ground, and I think that's going to look very beautiful in that area behind the hydrangea. I believe now, after I've done a little bit of digging into what kind of a hydrangea this is, I think this is the Gatsby pink hydrangea because it does turn pink very early in the season. The Gatsby gal seems to turn pink later in the season, early to mid-fall, versus the Gatsby pink, it turns pink very early in the summer. So I think that's what we have over there. So that's going to grow about 8 by 8 and fill in that area. And we have here the Gertrude Jekyll rose. I wish it had a bloom on it, but it bloomed out, and you know, the rain has been kind of demolishing all the blooms on all my flowers. That's all right. We'll just enjoy its foliage. This is its first season in here, and it has put on tons of growth. I'm super excited about it. And right there, there's Clematis armandin. I need to see the tag. Let's see what this one is. This is Diamantina. Yes, Clematis Diamantina. You can see right there, it's going to have this beautiful purple bloom. Let me see if I can get the tag close to you. Look at that bloom, beautiful. And that is going to bloom from mid-summer to late fall. So I believe it's a type 2 clematis. Yeah, and we have a whole bunch of stuff over there as well. So this area is starting to slowly fill in. I'm very happy with the placement of this boxwood over here. I also don't know if I mentioned, I do need to cut back everything that I have planted, and I need to water everything as well. So this boxwood right here has to get water ASAP because it was a little bit dry, even though it's been raining for a while. But I felt like the root ball definitely needed water, and this area also wasn't super moist. So I'm gonna give it some water and give the phlox, all the phlox that I've planted, some water, and cut them all back. So just wanted to say that because I wasn't sure if I already said that or not. I do need to go inside and make dinner and do all that stuff. It's getting a little bit late and I'm getting tired. I was feeling very tired before I started, but you know, somehow gardening just gives you that energy, and just being outside and smelling the fresh air and touching the soil and all that is really good for us. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful. And if you like these types of videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications of whenever I upload new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!